In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful One, peace and the mercy and blessings of God be with you. Thank you for joining me on this continuing series called 30 Days to a Better You. We look at a trait each day that we could acquire or accentuate so that by the end of Ramadan, we are better persons than we started out to be at the beginning of the month. Today, under that broader topic, we're looking at being a holistic person. And under that topic for today, diet. And tomorrow, exercise. So let's stick with diet for the time being. Did you ever really think that diet would be part of religious teachings? I mean, whether you go to church or you go to a Hindu place of worship or you go to a synagogue or to a mosque, you will probably hear preachers telling you, well, you need spiritual food. And of course, you hear that from me often as well. But Islam is a balanced way of life and intends to produce us as holistic persons with all areas of our lives in perfect balance and harmony. And one of the areas of our lives is proper diet. We need to have healthy bodies. And with those healthy bodies, we'll be in a better position to serve God and to serve our fellow human beings. That is a part of our teaching as well. And we find much mention of this in the Quran. Let's look into the Quran and see why it is important for us to think about proper diet. Much in the Quran is about differentiating between halal, which is permissible foods, and haram, which is impermissible, especially in reference to foods. But there's also ample mention of the word tayyibaat, which means good things, in reference to foods in the Quran in several verses. For example, in the 7th chapter of the Quran, mentioning the story of the early couple, Adam, and his spouse, the Quran says, Ya bani Adam, O children of Adam, خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. O children of Adam, take your adornment to every place of worship and eat and drink, but do not be wasteful or do not go to excess. Certainly, God does not like those who do things to excess. So God likes moderation and balance, and even when we eat, we are to eat in moderation and balance. So nowadays, this is the kind of advice we might get from our doctors. A modern piece of motto goes like this, that you don't eat until you're hungry, and you don't keep eating until you're full. So you delay eating until you feel some hunger, and then when you're eating, don't keep eating until you're full. You need to stop at a certain point, knowing your usual comfortable intake, because when you're sitting there eating at the time, you don't feel that you're full. You keep eating, and then later on you feel, man, I've really eaten too much now. So let us do things in moderation. And even with eating, let's eat in moderation. But then I mentioned the word tayyibaat, which means good things. The next verse says, that's Surah 7, verse number 32, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ وَالطَّيِّبَاتِ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ. Who dares to prohibit the adornment which God has brought forth for his servants, and the good things that God has provided to eat? So if things are good for eating, basically those are permissible. I mean, it needs some more details. For example, pork is prohibited, and that needs a further discussion. But in general, when things are good for consumption, these are God's provisions, and these are permissible, to the extent that the 7th chapter of the Quran, the same chapter, verse 157, speaks about our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, being foretold in the previous scriptures. And God says in the Quran that he is the prophet the messenger whom they will find mentioned in the books that they're holding, the Torah and the Injil, the Torah and the Gospel. And among the descriptions of this prophet is that he makes permissible, or he declares to be permissible, the good things to eat. And at the same time, he declares to be impermissible the things which are not good to eat. So we see then that from the Quranic perspective, when a thing is declared to be haram or impermissible, that's because those things are not beneficial for human beings, or rather the opposite, they are harmful for human beings. And this is why alcohol is prohibited, because it's harmful generally to human beings. And this would be why pork was prohibited as well, because it was, especially at that time and in that circumstance, it was harmful for human beings, either from the physical and medical point of view or from the psychological point of view. Maybe the point is that people they say you are what you eat. And maybe psychologically, the people saw the pigs as being scavengers and they didn't want to eat that meat. And if they did, they themselves might start feeling that their standards have been lowered because they're eating something which is basically in their minds not clean. Now, I'm not saying let's make it permissible today, but I'm saying that was the circumstance. And now, by the flip side of that, and more to the point, the things which are permissible in the Islamic faith are permissible precisely because they're good things which have been permissible, which have been provided by God. And in principle, the good things to eat are not prohibited. So that encourages us then to look for good things and to eat good things and not to eat bad things, things which will be bad for our health and things which will make us sluggish and bring us down. So how do we implement this? Well, follow the advice of your doctor or your dietitian, or follow an official food guide from the health authorities in your country to make sure that you are getting all of the right nutrients in the right amounts daily, and that you're staying away from the fatty foods and sugary ingredients. So let us do the best we can to eat right and be the holistic persons that we ought to be, because our faith in Islam is intended to produce us as holistic persons, balancing the spiritual side and also the physical side, the life hereafter and also the life of this world. So especially during this month of Ramadan, as we break our fast at the end of the day, let's be sure that we do not kill the spirit of fasting by pigging out at the end of the day, eating stuff which may not be good for us or in quantities which may not be good for us. So moderation and balance and discrimination between good and bad, this is what makes a good Muslim. So thank you for joining me for this episode in which we have dealt with diet as part of being a holistic person. Tomorrow, God willing, I will continue with exercise under the same subheading. And this all falls, as you know, under the broader heading of 30 Days to a Better You, in which we look at 30 traits that we should inculcate or accentuate during this month so that by the end of the month, we're better persons than the persons we started out with at the beginning of the month. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If you enjoy this video, then please support us this Ramadan. Here are 3 ways. Thank you, and may God bless you and your loved ones today and always.